All right. Welcome to the show, Poe.
Hi, everybody. Thank you
Yes.
for having me.
Yeah, thank you for being here. So I wanted to just start off um with how I know you, normally with my guests. So we met like end of 2018, 2019. We did that the dance cosplay project for KDA, right?
Yes.
And then you were already big in the cosplay community and I was just kind of like meeting people in it. You're also big in like the photography community and I know that your husband Justin was like one of the producers for that project that we're in. You're also a full-time nurse, content creator, you're a big foodie. You do a lot of like collabs and sponsorships and stuff like that. And you and your husband are like world travelers.
More
Anything
like
else I
Asia
missed?
travelers.
Asia travelers, yeah. Anything else I missed that you did like doing?
Oh, I think one of the things I can add to the
Yeah.
list is pickleball. I'm like super
Yes.
obsessed with pickleball
Yes.
lately. So yes, we've been doing that. And I wouldn't say like I'm super famous and all that stuff. I dabble
Right, right, right.
and I'm glad people enjoy
Exactly,
it.
exactly. I feel the same way. I'm like, I just do what I enjoy, and it's cool if people like it. So yeah, pickleball. We'll get into that soon because I've seen a lot of your recent content, and it's like super fun. Um, so, y- so we know that you go by Monster Poe.
Mhm.
So like, where did that name come from, and like, how did you decide to like use it?
Oh. Oh, some people get sad about it.
Yeah, yeah.
But so Monster Poe. Poe was my rabbit's name. My late
Mm,
rabbit, she passed, excuse me, he passed right before I actually made my account. I dedicate that page to him.
mm.
And he was my little monster.
Oh,
So I figured like why not Monster Poe? It actually used to be Monster Poe S2 because I wanted to be cute and put a heart.
oh, I see.
But then I didn't want people to think I had a second account. It's like Monster Pose 2.
Right, right.
So just omitted it before anything
Okay,
else
that makes
happened.
sense. That makes sense. Cool. So, anyways, I like to go into, I guess, start with like your backstory and then go into like maybe like travel because I think that's something that a lot of people like to do. So, like where did you grow up and what was it like growing up? And then like, how did you? Well, let's start with that.
Where did I was born in Philippines,
Mm,
so I am 100% Filipina.
nice. That's our British Philippines.
Yeah. I know I don't look it though. I'm mixed somehow. We're all mutts
Yeah,
in
yeah.
our own way. But yes, I was born in Philippines, raised till I was 9 years old. So I do still have my accent that comes out every now and then, especially when I work in the hospital. Oh, when I talk to the titas,
Mhm.
it comes out.
Yeah.
Other than that, I moved to California following my dad because he came here for the American dream.
Mm,
So he brought the rest of the family here, and I've been a normie in California since
yeah.
until I tried to make something of myself, at least something that I thought was more enjoyable for myself.
Right, right. So how did you get into okay, I guess we'll jump around a little bit, but like um so I know like we said you do a lot of things, but then how did nursing come into play? So I can make an assumption and say Filipinos like nursing is our thing.
Yes.
A lot of it's like a family thing too. It's like okay, we expect you to go into healthcare or nursing specifically.
Yes.
Was that also similar for you or was it like no, actually there's something about that that was inherently I feel like my choice or I don't know.
I think nursing was something my family wanted me to do.
Mm,
There was no one like in the medical field, at least I think,
mm,
in my family other than my generation of cousins. I wasn't the first, obviously. My cousins were first because I was the youngest girl out of all my cousins. But nursing was more of my family's dream, my parents' dream. So I knew nothing but
mm.
nursing. Like
Gotcha.
the moment I was born, you're gonna be a nurse. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay.
It just guided you to it,
Yeah,
like
yeah, just basically like, here's my path.
want a doctor set for toys and
Yeah,
stuff
no,
like
no.
that?
They're like, you like to paint? Great, that looks good. What about nursing?
Nice.
Yeah.
So then, like, I'm assuming that was kind of just the thing that you're focusing on throughout, like, college and then, like, becoming a nurse and whatnot?
Yes, yes. I actually kind of took my time, not because I didn't want to like get into it faster, but
Mm.
because, like, I didn't have that much money.
Yeah, yeah.
So I kind of worked in school just trying to get into nursing. So my whole focus is what can I do to graduate? What can I do to get into nursing school? What can I do to get that nursing job and make that money and whatever.
Mm.
But in the long run, though, I'm not saying that I'm just doing it just because I was forced to.
Right,
I
right,
do
right.
enjoy
Of
it.
course.
As I was going through that path, I saw like my family and friends going to the hospital, seeing the care the nurses have given, and I'm thinking like that's gonna be me one day,
Mm.
and I'm gonna do a good job, be a good nurse, and
Nice.
yeah.
Do you have any, like, okay, well, I have a few questions that come to mind, which is like, um, you're the first nurse that I have on the show. So, like, maybe if you have any insights on like what the process is like to becoming a nurse, like how challenging is it or how easy do you feel like it was? And then from there, like best parts and or worst parts are like challenges of being a nurse.
Oh, okay. Well, trying to become a nurse is very hard. I will tell you this, and I don't know if this is a fact, but I've heard people say, um, I'm gonna get lashed out for this.
It's okay.
They're saying that like just the path to nursing is so fast that it kind of on par with trying to get to like med school.
Mm,
I'm not saying it's like we're like harder than them. They're like what they have to do is way worse than what we
mm,
have to do, but because we have to do it so fast,
mm,
it's just there's no time to breathe. Like for me personally, I don't know how other people did it, but for me I focused on like work, paying for school, and then just like my studies, and that took like 90% of my time, like sleeping, drinking. I was doing it like while I
oh
was
my gosh.
studying. It was bad.
Yeah.
Um, but in the end, it was worth it. But there was a lot of tears, a lot of like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? Like, is this worth it? But in the end, it definitely was, especially when you finally hold that degree. Like, I did
Mm,
it.
nice.
Yeah.
The feeling of accomplishment.
Hmm.
So like as a nurse, I'm sure that you have seen so many things. How long have you been working as a nurse for?
Since 2016.
2016. So it's
Hmm.
been was it 8 years, something like that?
Don't look at me. I'm bad at
Yeah.
math.
2016, 2020, yeah, 8 years. So I'm sure you've seen a lot of crazy things. So like do you have any things that are like best parts and or hardest parts about being a nurse?
Oh, I think the best parts, we'll start with that,
Mhm.
is everyone's appreciation for nurses. There'd be patients where, like, hey, I see the hard work that you're doing, and those moments just make you feel so good and appreciated. But then, it's not like that all the time in the hospital. People are in the hospital because they're in pain, they're hurt, they're, X, Y, and Z. So, as nurses, we have to like understand that we are the forefront when it comes to patient care. Sure, the doctors come and see them, but they're not there like the entire 12 hours like we are. They're there for like 30 minutes if they even get 30 minutes with them. And understandable, they have like 100 patients. And for us nurses, I think the struggle is when you get patients who just don't understand what like your viewpoint. Like, I go in and like they lash out at me like,
Mhm.
I called you 5 minutes ago and like, why weren't you here? And I'm like, I'm doing CPR next door to a patient dying. I'm sorry I couldn't get your
Literally
water.
trying to save someone's life here.
Yeah. And like that, I think that's one of the hardest parts. There are like the outlier where you get like really confused patients where I've had a patient throw coffee at me.
Oh my god.
They're confused. I have to understand that,
Yeah.
but it still sucks.
Yeah.
But I think the more worst part is when I have a patient who's more cognizant of what's going on about like me trying to like get to their room and trying to help them, and then they're just not as patient. Like just a smidge of patience is
Mhm.
all I ask.
Mhm.
Especially on those harder days where it's like I just want to sit down and cry, and then I have to go back out
Um,
there.
would you say are you like more extroverted, introverted?
Oh,
Just curious.
I've taken what was it? Myers-Briggs
Yeah,
test?
Myers-Briggs,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I've taken that test multiple times, and I'm actually right in the middle.
Okay.
So I think it depends on who I'm with, what the crowd is like, and I could be either way.
Mm.
But if I had to pick, I'm actually more introverted.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, yeah. I know that's not super relevant, but I'm just curious because I imagine that, well, from my understanding as an outsider, like nursing is difficult because you have to deal with so many people, but there's
Mhm.
obviously technical aspects of that, right? Like you have to know your stuff, like what you're doing medically.
Yes.
So, whereas, maybe doctors are seeing a lot of people, they're putting their expertise to play, but like you said, they're not there for like a majority of the
Yeah.
time. So I imagine it must be really tough that you have to like juggle your tasks with taking care of the patients and then jumping from task to task.
There's definitely excuse me, there's definitely a lot of uh not therapy, but like a lot of mental health
Mm.
aspect in the nursing realm. Like I personally, I don't know. Can I even say this? Like, I'm really good at kissing ass when it comes to
Ah.
patients. I'm pretty good at trying to put out fires.
Mm,
Because I like for people who go to therapy, you guys got this.
nice.
But I've gone through my own therapy, and I've taken everything I've learned from my therapist in the nursing
Oh,
community
nice.
because there's a lot of patients, like I said, a lot of them are going to be unhappy because they didn't like the care, they don't like what they heard, or I'm sick and tired of being sick, so they take it out on us. So for me, it's like, okay, you're struggling. I get it. Let me put my feelings aside of you, like, borderline abusing me,
Mm.
and let me help you, like, kind of get through this. And in the end, like, the appreciate I still remember this one shift. I went in, and this patient was absolutely done with her day. Like, she
Oh.
was upset with the doctor, she was upset with the other nurse that was taking care of her. And mind you, they didn't really do anything wrong,
Mhm.
but she was just unhappy overall. And in hearing her aspect, okay, fine, I get it. So when I went in, I said, "Hi, how are you?" And she's like, "Don't you talk to me like that." And
Oh.
I'm like, "What did I say?" And I remember, like, walking out of that room and looking at the other nurse, and I'm like, how am I gonna get through my shift with her? Like, what do I do? And, like, I was actually, like, about to cry. I was like, "I just walked in here, my patient just yelled at me, and now I don't know what to do."
Oh my gosh.
And then just thinking, like, "I have 12 hours. 12
Oh
hours. How
gosh.
do I do this?" And then, like, moving on throughout that day, when I was like every time I go in there, I'm like, "Okay, okay, I can do this."
Okay, breathe,
Yeah,
center yourself,
smile, like, just try
smile,
to be
perform.
yes, yes, pretty much. So I go in, and then she's, like, again, venting, and I'm just like I'm already prepared, so I know she's gonna vent. So she starts venting, and then I put in that, like, therapy aspect, and she, by the end of the shift, was super happy, super nice, and said and even told me, like, "You're the only nurse who's ever taken the time to talk to me."
Wow.
And that was a huge impact on me, regardless of me, like, feeling like I was on eggshells the entire night. Just hearing that made me feel like, "Okay, I'm doing something really good," you
Nice.
know? And, I talked to my coworker who had her that day shift, and I asked how she was, and he was saying like, "Oh, she was the sweetest patient," and I was like, "Wow,
Uh-huh.
okay, okay, okay."
Nice. You're like, "No, you're welcome." What do you think, like, what aspects do you think of, like, how you treated her went into that made her, like, have that switch? I guess anything, like, specific that you feel like worked?
I think she felt like she wasn't heard. Like,
Mm,
she had all this, like, concerns and complaints, and I think human nature, if there's a complaint, we kind of defend ourselves. I'm not saying this is what happened,
right.
with the doctor and the nurse or whatever, but I feel like she just wasn't heard, so I just sat there and I told her, like, "This is how you feel, like, this is what I understand how you felt, like, am I right? Can you tell me more?" And I think people, especially if you're in a small room, like, all the rooms are private, so there's really no one in there, other than the patient, and if family comes, in her case, no family was there, you kind of have that, like, white wall syndrome, so you kinda go a little crazy,
Oh,
you
I
know what I
see.
mean?
Mm,
So she just needed someone to talk to and kind of have someone hear her, so I took that time. I had to, I have other patients, but I figured out how to manage my time better to be able to accommodate to her. So I think that that was, something that she appreciated, and she voiced it out. It's like, I really felt like I was heard, and, like, I really appreciate you, and I think you're doing a great job as a nurse."
mm.
So, I like
Nice.
that.
I think that's a really good takeaway for a lot of people. Like, these people, like, they don't want to be there,
Mhm,
but they're in the situation and you have a lot on your plate.
mhm.
But then I think taking the time to like really make someone feel understood kind of help that whole
Yeah,
process. I think
yeah.
it's a great lesson. So kind of like a interesting pivot, but wait, have you worked in the same hospital or like what is your hospital like?
I actually started at a smaller
Or okay,
hospital,
okay.
and I love that hospital.
Yeah.
Um, if it wasn't for, like, certain things that I had to move, but, like, if I had a choice, I would've stayed there.
Mm,
It's a small hospital, but because it's small, we're like family.
right, that makes sense.
So yeah. Shout out to Placentia Linda. I love you
Nice.
guys.
So you work at a bigger hospital
I
now?
do work at a bigger hospital. I also really love this hospital. Um, I work at Kaiser.
Nice.
Yay. But yeah, I enjoy Kaiser.
So my next question was like, so I have a friend who's a travel nurse,
Mm,
and he makes comedy content, right? But
right.
one of his things is like, sometimes like working as a nurse can be very toxic because of like the administration or the people you work with. And I
Yes.
don't want to try to like point fingers or say everyone is evil, right?
Right.
But it seems like that's not really your experience. But I'm sure it depends on the hospital, or I'm not sure. Like, what do you?
I think it depends on the
Yeah,
hospital. I think when you work 12 hours and you kind of have to deal with a lot of, like, external kind of, um what's the
like
word?
external factors or
Correct,
things.
correct.
Yeah.
So there'd be times where you feel like, oh, this could have been done better. They could have done this, or like we're short staffed. Like sometimes there'd be times where like, why? why was did this person not go to work, or like why did they let this person stay home when we're clearly short staffed, like so
Mhm.
those things.
Gotcha.
But I think one of the things that I've personally been trying to understand working not working but being with like small business minded, sorry, small businesses,
Mhm.
like my other friends, I'm realizing there's so much more to it. So I'm thinking like maybe there's a reason why they're trying to keep that person home and having us work. Like it's hard, sucks for us
Right.
as the people actually working, but maybe there's like other things that we just need to well, we haven't understand because we're not in their position.
Right, right. So you're saying that like people in different positions in like the company or where you work have different perspectives, so they have different worries, and it can
Definite
be
reasonings,
different
yes.
reasoning. So it can be come into like conflict or friction with people like yourself doing like the work that's
Hmm.
different.
Hmm.
That makes sense.
And I've seen my hospital do like do things to try to appease us.
Mhm.
So I'm not saying that they're not doing anything.
Right.
Like they're doing meetings, they're doing this. So I see the effort.
Mhm.
Um, but I think when you're frustrated, it's hard to be cool headed.
Yeah, that makes sense. So it's like every work environment. Like you
Mhm.
have some places that are more difficult, some places that are healthier, but kind of just depends on the dynamic.
Correct, correct.
Makes sense. Um, okay, so if you don't mind pivoting, then I would like to talk about travel because again, one of the things that I think, myself included, I think a lot of your followers, it's like we live vicariously through all your traveling, and I think you enjoy traveling too,
Yes,
right?
yes, I do.
What are some of your favorite places to go? Let's just start with that.
Okay, my
Yeah.
favorite places. I love Asia
Mhm.
for sure. I go to Philippines a lot because it's my home. I see my family, so that's kind of a no brainer.
Where
Um,
from? Where is your family from in the Philippines? For the
Uh,
Filipinos who know.
I was born and raised in Manila, so
Okay.
I've been a city girl. But
Yeah,
my
yeah.
mom is from Iloilo,
Okay.
and I think I have like family in Cebu now. They've kind of dispersed, but majority of my life was all in Manila. I
Okay, I
think my
see.
dad was from Manila, and then met my mom in Iloilo, and in college, I think
Mhm.
there out there, and then we
Okay.
moved out there.
Nice. So you visit your family in Manila area mostly, or all around?
Manila, but more so now.
Mhm.
When we visit, I stay in our my husband's family's condo,
Okay.
in BGC. So
Oh,
it's like kind of close to Makati,
is that
Bonifacio Global
south from
City.
Manila? I'm not
Um,
really good with like the.
I don't know
Okay.
either. I
Yeah.
like in my head, I think it's north, but
Yeah.
like insert map here.
Yeah. Insert map here. Because I've only been once, which is this last year, last May, and so we were in Manila.
Mm.
But then my parents and family are from Pangasinan, which is near Baguio, so it's
Oh,
like 5 hours north or something like that. It's like
yeah.
really far north. And then Blessie's family, like, is she had her dad is like down in like what's it called, Makati, and then like past Tagaytay.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, I'm like, okay, I vaguely know, but I was only there for like like a few weeks, so I'm not
Mhm.
really sure about the
Have you not
area.
gone back since,
Not
or
since, yeah. So it was just May
oh,
of last year. But yeah, definitely want
okay,
to go
well
back.
that's very recent.
Yeah, and I didn't even see my family because I was with Blessie's family the entire time
Oh,
because
okay.
I'd never met them and my parents weren't there.
Oh yeah, it'd be a little
Yeah, so
weird.
I'd be like, hey, you don't know me, but I'm sure you know of me, but we haven't met yet. So yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, next time. So yeah, Philippines. Where else do you usually like to go?
I like to go to Japan. I think
Japan, so good.
I I don't know. I've always wanted to go to Japan because as a child I loved anime and manga.
Mhm.
Like I think that was the core of it
Yeah.
at the beginning. And then after like I got to learn more about it, I took Japanese classes in high school. I took Japanese classes in college. So in those classes they also teach you culture and all these
Mm.
things and I just absolutely fell in love with it. And I think when I did like start doing cosplay, I started hearing people like, "I want to go to Japan." Like back then, I was
Mhm.
a kid. It's not like it was just a dream. Like the fact that I could actually the idea of me like getting the funds to be able to travel was non-existent.
Mm.
It was just nursing, and then like, oh, Japan. I love Japan.
Yeah.
That was it. And then like now as I got older, the like especially in the cosplay community, and then doing nursing at the same time, I'm like, everything that I want could be
Mm.
feasible if I just work a little harder.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's where I think one of my my friend at the time, husband now, went to
My close friend,
my close friend at the time. They went to like Japan, and I'm just thinking, I'm like, man, I want to go so badly.
Yeah.
Like, what can I do? And then like
Just marry him.
yeah, that's
Maybe
all
he'll
I
take you.
did. Just
Nice.
marry the man, and he'll take me,
Yeah.
which happened.
Nice.
Thanks, babe.
Nice. So how was your experience like the first time when was the first time you went to Japan? And then what was it like?
2019 was my very first time going to Japan, and I was the culture shock was just mind-blowing. Like, the respect and, like, the order in Japan is just something so different for me because I know, like, I'm all I know is, like, California, and then I also know Philippines, and
Mm,
Philippines orders,
it's a little different.
eh,
Very Filipino.
very Filipino.
Yeah.
I think we have, like, the cultural respect to people we communicate, but I think just, like, the how they drive, how they walk, how they, like, greet you, it's just completely different.
Yeah.
And, like, I really like that, and, um wait, what was the question? I'm, like, jumping ahead.
Yeah, no worries. So how was your experience like in Japan? So like you said, it was the culture shock,
Mm,
how they do things, like it's very, very different.
yes.
I don't want to put words in your mouth. So like how was it?
What else? Oh, the food.
Mm, the
Like, that's
food.
definitely, like, one of the
Yes.
my biggest thing, like, and here in the US, I love Asian food, like, I love, like, sushi and whatnot, but I think Japan ruined that for me.
Mm,
So
it's a
when
good
I think of
problem to have.
sushi, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest, takeaway from my first time was just the environment, how amazing food is coming from, like, the place
Yeah,
of its
the
origin.
source, yeah.
Yes, and the fashion.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's so modest.
Yeah.
And, like, in the cosplay community, because I went in from the cosplay community, and, like, we're very, like, we're very, sexy,
Mhm, mhm.
we dress like that, and when I'm there, I'm like,
You're like, oh.
I gotta cover up.
So, one thing that I noticed, not to cut in, but like, so in a lot of places, like they have, yeah, it's like more modest fashion, but it's still fashionable.
Yes.
But then when I went to like more of like the cities like Shinjuku or something like that, it's a little bit
Yes.
more, you know what I mean, like flashy.
Yes.
But then it's crazy how the further you get from those places, it's still fashionable, but a
Mhm.
different style.
Yes, and their fashionable is still modest, and
Right,
it's,
right, right.
like, something that I would, like, throw together in my closet, but it looks good on them. But if I
Mm,
wear it, I'm like, "I look like I just woke
right,
up and decided to put something random,"
right, right.
They look so good in it, I just don't understand.
Yeah, Japanese people are very fashionable.
Very.
I would say the same thing about Koreans too. When I studied abroad in Korea, it's like obviously different type of fashion, but
Right.
like you walk around and like 8 out of 10 people are fashion aware, and you're like, oh geez, I should have done myself up a little more.
One of my friends was telling me, like, if you're when you walk around Korea, I think it's Korea, she said that, like, you're gonna feel very out of place if you
Mhm.
don't try.
Yes,
Yes.
100%. That's how I felt for like
Oh,
the
no.
3 months that I was there. I was like, oh man, I'm so out of place. So you just have to try a little bit harder.
Yeah.
Okay, so Japan. Do you have any places you recommend to go to Japan? How many times have you been so far?
I wanna say 4 or 5 times already.
Yeah, yeah. I think I saw a post and you said it was 4 or 5 times. So I
Yeah,
think that
yeah,
sounds about
like,
right.
um, I think maybe 4.5
Okay.
because one of the times I went was only for 6 hours
Oh, I
because it
see.
was just
Okay.
a layover.
Gotcha.
Um, how long? Wait, what?
So how favorite things to do or like
Oh, right,
recommendations for
right.
people who want to go
Um,
as a Japan enthusiast?
I wanna say if it's gonna be your first time, pick some, if not all of it, like, tourist stuff,
Mm,
just because you kind of want to experience the tea ceremony, wearing the kimono. Like, yes, they're very touristy, but it's something that you want to try first because you don't wanna regret it, you know what I mean?
mhm.
Just it's one of
Good
the
experience.
basic package
Yeah,
of
yeah, yeah.
first time Japan goers. And then after that, kind of stray away from it. Like, one of the things that I did recently that was not a norm would be going on a ferry. Like,
Mm,
it wasn't a cruise per se, but it felt like a cruise. It was just an overnight trip from Beppu to Osaka.
mm.
Um, and it was an amazing experience. Like, our room, I honestly looked better than the hotel we
Oh my
stayed at.
gosh,
It was
nice.
so nice. And that was just a ferry where people just have their cars transferred from one, like,
Right.
island to another. Um,
So it was overnight.
it was just an overnight thing,
Gotcha,
yeah, but
gotcha.
it was really nice. And then, other things are try, like, cooking with, like, if there's something that says cooking with grandma or something like that, do it. It's
Mm,
fun. Talking to the grandma and them telling their life while they teach you how to cook is very, like, kind of humbling.
yeah.
You're like, "Wow, that's so nice." You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And then you meet, like, this, like, grandma who's like, "Yeah, I've been a chef my entire life, and I've been this, and
Oh
then
my.
I decided I'm just gonna retire and do this." I'm like, "Whoa.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You're too cool for me."
Dang, that's crazy. Anything? Sorry. So moving away from Japan, any other places that you recommend that you enjoy going to? Because you said Asia, so I don't know where else
Oh,
you recommend.
Siargao. Absolutely
Siargao?
Siargao. This is also Philippines, going back to
Okay,
Philippines.
okay, okay.
Um, we went to Siargao for the first time. We've been wanting to go. If you ever been to Boracay, it's basically Boracay, but like more it's much smaller. So it's not as overpopulated with
Mhm.
tourists.
Okay.
So it feels nicer.
Mm.
I don't know how else to explain it. And I think in Boracay we didn't have the chance to ride mopeds. In Siargao you can. You kind of like go all over the island. It's not very big, so it's not like you're gonna stray too far.
Mhm.
You'll figure out how to get back to your hotel. But it was an amazing experience. And I wish I could go back. Oh, it
Mm.
was so much fun.
Nice. Okay, so one other thing I wanted to ask you because I've seen you guys like, is it like business class or something like that? Like where you have
Oh,
like you get to like lay down and sleep and stuff like that.
right.
So do you have any? How do you do that? Like, okay, I don't want to make assumptions. Do you just pay for it, or is like do you guys use points, or how do you guys do that?
We have a lot of
Okay.
points. We do points, and then I think our recent trip, the day before our flight, I want to say less than like 6 hours.
Mhm.
Um, the price dropped from like 3,000 to 800
Oh,
or something
okay.
like that.
Yeah.
And so our most recent trip for Japan would actually be our final trip for
Oh.
a while.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so we decided like it's the last trip, let's go all out paying for it. But the other trips, we had a lot of points accumulated. Like my husband has his own business, so he has a lot of business points.
Gotcha.
So he used that, and then I had my own points that I accumulated, and I used that too.
Mhm.
So the our business class trips were all
Really
points. Yeah,
nice. Do
yeah.
you have any tips on how to get points, or do you guys have any like insider hacks? Some people like do like point hacking and stuff like that, but
I've never heard of point hacking.
okay, yeah,
No,
like
we did it genuine. I will buy
gotcha.
groceries
Okay, just putting
and
everything, just
yeah.
use points. Gotcha.
Mhm,
Because
I
it's a
mean
good deal,
years.
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think just my if you have a business, small business, use your
Mm,
card. If you don't have one, please get a card
right.
and accumulate those points because they're definitely worth it.
Definitely.
And you don't need to use business class. You
On
don't have to use like I think it's 100,000
yeah.
points for a business. You just use a little bit to be economy, and it's
Mm,
fine too.
it makes sense.
Mm.
So last thing on travel, I wanted to know, do you have any travel tips that you would recommend for first time travelers? I know a lot of people want to travel as much as you guys, but any pro tips?
Pro tips. Oh, you're gonna pack way more than you actually need.
Mm,
So just if you can try not to pack as much, there are lots. I guess it depends on where you're going. In Japan and Philippines, we had no issues with this, but packing light would save you one the backache from pulling your luggage. If you go to Japan, there's not a lot of smooth pavement. There are the blind blind assist
mm.
things on the floor, and I've tripped over my luggage
Oh my
because
god.
of those. I remember thinking like, why are these here? And then at the same time, I'm like, wait a minute,
Yeah.
it's inconvenience to me, but imagine how inconvenient it is for someone who's blind. So
Hmm.
I'm like, okay, just let it go.
Hmm.
But yeah, I've tripped over those. So pack light if you can. There's places where you can do your laundry. It's not that hard, even if you don't speak Japanese or you don't speak Tagalog. Figure it out. It's laundry. Give it to them. They wash.
Hmm.
Um, or if you have an Airbnb, they come with their own laundry.
That's nice.
Yeah, so it's also very easy. Just use Google Translate to translate. That's one. And then the other one, even if you're like in economy, we still like travel economy. We only post the business stuff because we want to
Yeah.
look cool.
Yeah. Of course. Of course. Why not?
But we still travel
Yeah.
economy.
Yeah.
My favorite thing that I got way back before I even met my husband, I have this foot hammock where you put it on your tray,
Mm.
right? Have you ever heard of it?
I mean, I can imagine what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so good. You put it on your tray and then like for girls who are short like me, we it's hard for our feet to touch the
Oh,
floor.
yeah.
So I have this thing where I don't know if you can see it, but like you basically put your legs up like this
Yeah.
and you feel like you're in a recliner. It's
Oh.
really nice.
Yeah.
I like that. And then I also have this thing called a sleeper.
Mhm.
The neck
Yeah.
pillows
Yeah.
don't do anything for me. It just
Mm.
still gives me stiff neck. So I have this neck pillow where you put it around the chair itself
Oh, I see.
and then like you either cover your eyes, your chin, your mouth, whatever you want. I don't like it on my eyes because I feel like my eye sockets are like leaning to the
Right.
back. But I like put it here around my head, and I just like it just hangs. It
Oh, I
feels so
see.
good. I put like eye mask on. I put my hammock, and I'm like chilling, and I
Nice.
sleep for like 6 hours, no problem.
Nice. That sounds really comfortable. I've seen, like, ads and stuff like that with, like, those sort of things where it,
Mhm.
like, hooks up to your chair, but I imagine it does help you get better sleep on the
Yes, it's
plane.
very, very comfortable. Like, I like it, but I can't really say the same for my husband just because he's a lot taller than
I
me,
see.
so, like, the hammock kinda just goes on his calf.
Gotcha.
But, I mean, he says it helps
Yeah,
some,
yeah.
so, like, yeah, I'm not gonna complain.
Nice. That's good. Okay, if you don't mind, let's pivot a little bit. So I know you mentioned that like as a like when you were younger into anime, I think we both are.
Yes.
So then how did you get into cosplay and then also content creation in general?
Oh, okay, cosplay. That's a fun one. I think in college, well, actually, I've always wanted to cosplay. Like I've always wanted. I've seen it, and even before it was a huge thing, I like to dress up as the characters.
Mhm.
But I'm kind of like that lone wolf. Like I was surrounded with people who are like too cool for that. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So it's like it's hard to like break out of that space and be like, I want to do this. I was also like a drama kid, so I like to reenact
Oh,
stuff.
I see. I
Yeah.
can see that.
So I one of my friends started a convention at my old college. It was called TitanCon.
Mm.
So he started it, and then one of my coworkers told me about it because she was doing it with him. I'm not sure if they did it together or she was just helping him. But she told me like, "Hey, like you like anime? Have you ever considered cosplay? You should come." But, like, I was super shy. I was like, "No, no, no, it's okay, it's okay." But then, like, I worked at the bookstore, and the bookstore was gonna have a little booth kind of around the time. So I was like, "Okay, I'm just gonna work and see what it's like." And then as it got closer, I was like, let me see what I have in my closet. Let me put something together fun."
Yeah.
I bought, like, 1 wig, and then I bought something, I don't know if you guys know Rize. I forgot what the anime is called, but, I cosplay Rize. I wore her wig, and I wore, like, gosh, a maid kind of
Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
uniform? I forget, but it's something along those lines. And I didn't have the right makeup on. I didn't have contacts on.
Mhm.
Like I actually didn't know how to put makeup on that at all back then. It was
Oh.
just super basic eyeliner and then, go about my day. So I did that. And for some reason, I had good feedback.
Mm.
So I had people like take photos of me. Like one of the first photographers that took me, who was actually pretty well known in the community, was Nels. So shout out Nels. I still tell him about
Mm.
it. Like he was my very first photographer. And he's also in the medical field.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Um, so he was the one who shot me. He posted my photo and then he asked my Instagram and all of a sudden I was getting all these random like followers and I was like, what's going on?
Mhm.
So I got that good feedback and it becomes like a drug.
Oh,
Like
I see.
I like that high
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I'm a Leo, so I like the
Leos.
spotlight. So when that happened, I just like, okay, what else can I do? And then I started like oh my god, what was the subscription box? But there was a subscription box that I applied for. And they had the like some cosplay stuff, like a scarf, or they'll give you a goggle, and I'll take advantage of it and just like do my own little photo shoots in my room. And then
Mm.
I would post that, and then you'll get good feedback. So I think from there, that's when I got reached out by other photographers. Or say I'd go to a convention and I try a little bit harder, like learn how to put makeup on, wear like buy those contacts that I got like from my from working my what is it like bookstore like money. I have very little money by the way
Mhm.
because it's going straight to my education, but like that little smidge of like yeah I can buy those really cheap contacts, and yeah that's where it all started. That's where I kind of like bloomed into meeting all these other photographers, all these cosplayers that like I idolized because, like, I loved how they did their makeup. I would, like, loved how they did their costume, and I would kind of pick their brain and learn more, and that's where I feel like I kind of grew, and then I made everything my own because I feel like I'm a perfectionist. Like, I love art in general, so, like, trying to figure out how to make this look not haphazard made me feel, like, kinda good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I like that. What do you think makes you stand out? Well, two parts to it. What do you think makes you stand out as a cosplayer? Like, what is like Monster Poe's brand, and or like, do you think that there's um like, what do you think it takes to be like a cosplayer, like to be big in the community? So I know you talked about like standards and excellence, but like, I guess first question, like, what do you think is your capitalizes your brand of like how you?
Oh, I don't know. I think for my cosplays, it needs to look good or I will not get out of my house. I
I
think
see.
that's my thing. It doesn't necessarily mean it needs to be exactly like the character, but I just know I need to look at myself in the mirror and say, "Yeah, that looks good." You
Mm.
know, like that I'm representing the character I'm representing. And then the other thing is I when I do like the photo shoots, I want to be in character. Again, like the whole drama kid in me, it needs to be like perfect. Like I need like my poses and I need
Oh.
my expression to be that character. I wouldn't say I was perfect at it. I but in my head I thought I was.
Mhm.
But and I think that that made it easier for other photographers to be like, okay, she's actually pretty easy to work with.
Oh, I see.
'Cause I've actually heard people say that, like, when they take photos, they're like, "Okay, we'll give you direction." But in my like, I'm so used to constantly moving, like, I will do my pose, and then they click, like, in my head, it's automatic, "Okay, let's change my pose." Like, why would I stay in that position, you know what I mean? So, like, I do that and I just change my pose, and everyone's like, "Oh." And I'm like, "Oh, what?"
Oh, that was good. Do that again. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. So, I think that actually was one of the things why, like, other photographers wanted to work with me, like, I got recommendations, like, "Hey, she's really easy to work with, her cosplays, like, are not bad, so if you wanna work with someone who's fairly new in cosplay, but then, is easier to work with, you can reach out to her," and I think that's how I got to meet other photographers
Oh,
too.
I see. Nice. So then I think part of that, it seems like, is you had standards that you want to be proud of your work, like
Yes.
what you do, and then how you take photos, and then being easy to work with helped with the networking, and then you met more people in the community, and then just putting out more work. And then, do you think that's what kind of lends to you building like the following that you have now, which is kind of like that standard of what you do?
Yes and no. I would like to say that, my page is kind of they all came because of how goofy I am.
Mm,
'Cause I don't think I can take it seriously. Like, the photos, like, yes, like, I try to be as badass as I can, but then, like, I don't know, my recent videos now, I can't do anything serious. I have to do something funny or silly or, like, I just wanna share that I'm not like, I don't bite.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know? Like, I've gotten people who said, like, "You have an RBF." Like, there'd be times where I'm tired and I'm just like, and then they
yeah.
were like,
I feel
"Are
that.
you okay?" And I'm like, "I'm just tired."
Right. Yeah. Same.
Like, I'm not, like, angry or anything, I'm just, like, just resting.
Hmm.
But, like, my personality is just a big goofball. I wouldn't say I'm, like, entirely funny,
Yeah.
but I do like to just be a little bit more expressive.
That makes sense. I think my personal philosophy is I think that's how you build a following is being your authentic self.
Mhm.
And people like that, right? Like I would imagine they respond well to like your goofy side because that's authentically you.
I'd like to think so because I've had people always tell me, like, "If you want your page to blow up, you need to stick with one thing." And I'm
Mm.
like, "No."
Right, right,
If I'm sticking with one thing, I'm sticking with my personality,
right.
and I will post whatever I wanna post. And if you guys like it, great. If not, then, like, you don't have to follow me. That's okay.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of talented people out there that you can follow, and I'm okay with that?
I love that. So like now aside from cosplay, I know you do a lot of other types of content. I know I've seen food,
Mhm.
obviously pickleball. Like what is I don't make any assumptions, but like what is your favorite type of content to create?
Oh. My favorite type of content is
Yeah,
comedy. I
yes,
really love the
definitely.
comedy. I like acting.
Hmm.
It's one of the things that I truly enjoyed as a kid. Um, so whenever there's a skit or anything that I want to just like kind of recreate, I want to do it. I don't think I have the confidence to make my own stuff yet. Like I did one, and it was okay. The sound is bad and whatnot. Like I'm learning.
Right.
But other than that, my comfort zone is here's a skit, and then in my head, I think I can do this. I think I can create a character from that that one sentence because it's not a huge like production or anything. It's literally just me, my phone, and the
Hmm.
one-liners.
Yeah.
And people responded well, and I'm really happy about it. And everyone's saying like I am very expressive. Again, that's actually what I'm working on. My expressions, my eyebrows talk
Mhm.
is what someone said, and I'm like, yeah, they do. Like I'm doing that on purpose.
Yeah, yeah. I like that. No, I agree. I agree with that. I was like, a lot of your videos that, I mean, I enjoy all of them, but it's the ones where it's like you're doing a voiceover and it's just like your facial expressions. I feel like it lends itself really well. I think you do work on it and then it shows, but also it's like compared to other people who just kind of do the skit and
Mhm.
they're just like there and they're just looking good. But I think what makes yours like really compelling is that like you're actually putting like that effort into it of like the acting and the drama kid in you, like you said.
Mhm.
So I really like that about your comedy skits too.
Thank you.
Anything else on like content creation that let's see. I would say like as a content creator who is, well known, do you have any like advice or tips on how to approach content creation? I know maybe it's not necessarily your goal to like blow up or build a following, or maybe it is, but like any advice on how to approach that?
Honestly, for me, don't go and don't go in it thinking I'm gonna make it big because I never had that intention at all with my page. For me, it was more so I'm gonna do what I love and I'm gonna share with people, and if they like it, that's wonderful. Um, that's why, like, I have no like rhyme or reason in my page. It's just whatever, like modge podge of whatever I want to do. Like, I want to do art stuff in there too, but I think that's a little too much. I created a separate page for that,
Nice.
but yeah, just go in having fun and don't have all these expectations that you're going to make it big because if you don't, I'm not saying you won't, like definitely work on it. If you don't, like it's going to hurt, you know what I mean? And I've heard that from other people. Like other people have asked me this like what did you do? How did you do this? And I was like I just decided I wanted to have fun. And that was it. Like I didn't like how people would say like, "Oh, like, I wanna do this like you," and do this like, "No, don't do it like me. Be you." Like, people are gonna follow you. They don't want to follow another, like, Monster Po. There is one Monster Po. There's gonna be one you, and you're gonna be that special you. So just, like, take it in, you know? And people will follow you. There's gonna be a niche for everything. So just be you. I think that's my biggest thing.
I love that. Yeah, because if you're finding your niche, like, or your niche, that's you, right? You're a
Right.
niche of one. So
Mhm.
it's like if you want to look for a niche, that's just look in the mirror.
Mhm.
I love that. Okay, let's pivot a little bit. We have a little bit more time for the last section, but so one of the things that you mentioned of like maybe possible topics was like balancing hobbies and work, but also like family life.
Right.
So like, how do you approach that? I know that you're very passionate about what you do, and you love nursing, and then you have a family. And I know you said you mentioned you want to build your family
You're right.
and grow it. So like, how do you approach like balancing all of that stuff?
I think I got extremely lucky actually. Since my husband is also part of this community with me, he's very supportive of what I do and I support him. So I think balancing the content creation and photography, modeling, and nursing is just all like like, easy in that sense with him. And then in terms of family, he's my husband. We want to grow a family. We wanna have, like, babies. We wanna have, like, we wanna reach those milestones, you know? I think my goal, if I had to be more personal, is I wanna have great grandkids.
Ah,
And so I'm like, "Work on this." But that's my personal goal, like,
yeah,
decades, hopefully decades
yeah,
in the
yeah.
future. But yeah, that's I wanna be able to create a family that I think would I'm trying to think of, the right word for this. Not make us happy because I don't wanna produce something to make me happy,
Right, right.
but something that would like
Sustain, or you want to build a happy home.
right,
That's a
right,
good like goal, right?
right.
So as like I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who are also aspiring to like to start a family, build a family. Like what are some of your biggest considerations or worries or like insights from someone at your stage of like, you guys are ready to start building a family? Like what's something that you would pass along?
What do you mean pass along? Like my
Like
worries or
yeah, like the biggest considerations, because I'm sure like starting a family is a big leap, right? Like
yes,
from just okay,
huge.
like having a relationship and then getting married, right? It's
Mhm.
one consideration. But then
Right.
how do you sit down and be like, okay, let's start a family and like here are the things that we should consider, or like this is what I'm really worried about.
I think starting a family wasn't an issue with us because I think when we started when we talked for the first time before we went together, like my first question was, "How many kids do you want?"
Nice. Built it right
Or
off the
you know
bat.
what? It might be the other way around. He might have asked me,
Okay.
and I think just going in, we already knew we wanted it, so I think that part thankfully was easy.
Mhm.
But I think my biggest struggle moving forward as a nurse is all the complications. I think that's my biggest fear. Because I like in my field, I'm a float nurse, so I actually float from like DOU, which is a step down from ICU. It's
Mhm.
called direct observational unit. Um, and then I also work at MSD, medical, surgical, and telemetry. So I do that like that 2 big sections, and then I also work at postpartum. It was I had a rare opportunity to get trained to take care of moms and newborn babies. So learning about the postpartum part of
Oh, I
it,
see.
like all the complications, like how I'm always going to be like 1 foot in my grave. So like that part kind of freaks me out. And then I make it worse by sending my husband like me things girls need to worry about. And then he's like, so do you want to have a
Yeah.
baby?
What are you trying to say? Okay, I'm getting mixed signals here.
I'm just saying, my baby moon better be good.
Yeah.
Because I'm always like, I'm gonna be like half dead half
Oh
the
my
time,
gosh.
apparently. But it's fine. I think it's something that like I've already accepted and I still want. So it's not gonna stop me from having a baby. But that is my biggest concern. I'm like, I hope nothing goes wrong.
Right.
And like I'm also in the time of my life where my friends are having kids. So like they tell me their stories and like I've seen most of my patients, since I'm not a primary postpartum nurse, I'm just a floater, I don't get the complicated moms.
Mm.
So most of my moms are like, "Oh, it was fine, we did this, it was great," and then I hear other stories from other patients, and then my friends telling me like, "Oh my gosh, I was X, Y, and Z, I was bleeding so much, I did this," and I'm like, "Too close to home."
You're like, okay, this might be your worst fear, but this is what happened to me. It was scary.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm I trust the hospital that like
Yeah.
I decided to go to. So I'm sure I'll be fine, but like it's still that lingering fear,
Of
you know.
course. Yeah, it's a
And that
very real thing.
yeah.
Another question. So on parenting, what kind of parent do you want to be? So like, I'm sure you'll get there when you get there, but like, I mean, you do a lot of fun stuff,
Mhm.
but then, so how do you approach like how, what type of parent you want to be?
I want to not cause trauma on my kids.
Oh, it's a
That's
good
one of the
start.
biggest
It's a
things.
good start.
Like, we joke about it, how we always say like, "Oh, childhood trauma,"
Yeah.
or like, but it's true. Like, you know, like I love my parents. I think they're great people, but like, there's just some things that they grew up with that I just definitely don't want to cross over to like my kids.
Mm.
Um, and same with my husband, we're kind of on the same page. We want to create a culture where our kids will be able to think for themselves. Like I don't want to do things for them without like a good reason that I would need to step in. I want them to be able to think for themselves. I want them to be able to be independent. Cuz who knows like what might happen to us. Like we might like pass before they can be an adult on their own. But even as a child I want them to think like, okay, this is what my parents taught me. This is how I should think. And I think that it's a way for us to like protect our kids. And then we also want it to be fun. Of course, I am definitely gonna be a cosplay mom, like, for sure,
Oh,
100%.
that's gonna be so much fun. Like
I
dressing up your kids.
Yes, and it's funny too, cause like, as I'm getting older, all of the people that I'm following are starting to post, like, family stuff. So you're
Oh.
trying to like, it's starting to, like, kick in my head. I'm like, "Damn, I'm growing with these people," and,
Mhm.
like, my followers, I hope they grow with me too, so that'd be fun. Um, but yeah, I think as a parent, I want to raise my kid to be independent men and women, whatever they may be. Um, and and yeah, kind of like a fun culture. Like I'm curious. There'd be times where I'm like, I hope I don't hit my kid, but I'm like, man, can I stop
You're like,
myself?
okay, I don't know how long my patience goes, but yeah, I get it.
I want to say I'm a very patient
Yeah,
person,
yeah.
but like, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see, we'll see. Last question on that. So, what do you have? Okay, I imagine you have a cosplay like goal for your family, or like, is there like a family cosplay dream that you have? Like, okay, we can dress up as this. Do
I
you have
don't think
one?
I have a family one. I have some pregnancy ones I want to
Okay,
do.
okay.
I've got that, and then I've got I really want to dress my kid as Pokemon whenever I
Oh
can.
my gosh, that's so cute.
So I want to do that, but I just to say like a full family one. No,
Yeah.
not yet actually.
Okay, okay.
Like I know one of the basic ones is Spy Family.
Right, right.
So I mean, I think that's definitely in the works. If
Mm.
you know, if I ever get a girl, even if it's a boy, I'll make him dress up. Whatever you want. You
Like
want to wear a dress, you
it's
do
just
you.
cosplay, okay? It's not you
Yeah.
can do whatever you
But if
want.
he loves a
If
dress,
you love the dress, it's great
like,
too.
yeah, whatever you want, babe.
Nice, I love it. I think you're gonna be a good mom. I think it's gonna be super fun.
I hope so.
Okay, so that's all the main questions. You ready for rapid fire?
Yeah.
These are the fun ones.
Okay.
Okay,
I gotta
so
get ready.
yeah, so this is the billboard question.
Mm,
If you could have a billboard that says anything that millions of people would see, what would it say?
God. Oh my God. She's not as funny as she looks.
Oh, nice, I like it. You're talking about yourself, or
I'm
you're talking
talking
about
about
someone else?
myself.
Okay,
Yeah, myself,
gotcha.
of course.
Um, What is your favorite failure or something challenging that you learned the most from?
Oh, my favorite failure was definitely not being able to communicate because since I didn't know how to communicate, I like went to therapy and now I feel like I'm a better person to be able to communicate to others. I'm still not perfect, don't get me wrong. Like there'll be times where I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe I said that." But I'm learning. I think the idea of just being able to learn and progress and grow as a person to be a better person for myself and for my family and for my friends, I think is one of my greatest failures.
I see. What were there any specific points of communication that you learned that was helpful for you?
I think to be able to acknowledge first
Mm,
before you like say if you have if you say you have an argument and your friend says like I feel like you did this and in your head I'm like wait but this happened and this happened. It's not your turn. This is their concern. This is what's making them feel sad or upset or whatever. You need to acknowledge that first. You need to like hold your tongue and let them feel like they heard you before because if you do they'll be more open to hear you as well hopefully and I think that has been, the communication, like, strategy that me and my husband have been doing, and it's going well. It's not perfect. I still, like, have times where I step back and, like, put in my, like, "Oh, but this," and he's like, "I understand you said I understand you feel that way, but right now I'm talking about myself." And I'm like, "Oh, shoot. Okay, I'm sorry."
mm,
So it's that I think that's one of the biggest thing is, like, if someone has a concern they want to be heard, especially if they're talking to you about it because they trust you. They appreciate you in their lives, so they wanna tell you. So for you to lash back, it sucks.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
definitely. I like that. It's kind of like you want to get your point across, but you have to stop and like kind of consider their position first
Mhm.
because then you can have a good conversation if they don't at least feel heard,
Yeah, because
right?
if they don't feel heard, they're not gonna wanna hear you.
Of course. Cool. Biggest regret, or if you could redo something, what would you do differently?
Biggest regret. I don't think I have any regrets. I think, things have happened for a reason, and, there's a domino effect to every action that I've made. So, if I were to even change one thing in my life, I feel like
It'd be different.
it'd be different,
Yeah.
and I don't know how comfortable I'd be. Like, I like who I am right now,
Mm,
who, the friends I've made, the culture I've created around myself. Um, so I don't know. Like, I think I'm happy with where I am.
that's good. Is if you could redo anything, would that be a different sort of perspective? You think it's the same thing of like regret
Redo anything.
from any point in time?
Well, let me think.
It's a thought experiment, obviously.
I think if I had to redo something,
Yeah.
maybe I would, like, in terms of cosplay, I
Yeah.
know, like, it went, well,
Yeah.
but if I had to redo the very first cosplay, because I, like, cringe every time I look
I
at it,
see.
I would fix my makeup.
Yeah. It's always the first one,
But
right?
nothing, like, major, I
Yeah.
think I would redo because, like I said, I think there was a reason for everything, so I think any hardships that I had to deal with, I think it was worth it because it just made helped me grow.
Definitely. If you could give your younger self advice from any age or time period, what would it be?
I'll just keep getting better.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had a pretty, like, strict, childhood,
Oh, I see.
so there wasn't much I could do. I was very limited in what I could do, and I just wanna tell myself, like, "You got this. You will have your time in the future. You just have to get through nursing school,
Just get
and
through
you'll
it.
be
You got
fine."
this. It'll be better.
Yes.
I like it. Are there any new habits, routines, or mindsets that you adopted in the last, like, let's say, few years that you feel like have really helped you a lot?
I think keeping up with my this is so silly, but keeping up with my notifications.
Mm.
I've always been like I've always have a hard time trying to like navigate with like my emails and all these things. So it's like when I do miss something, I feel so horrible because it's like that's time. Like I even this like sorry.
Right.
um, so I think like time is precious.
Yeah.
One of the biggest things for me. So if I like take away time from someone and it's entirely my fault, it's like it hits me because like man, if I was in their position, I'd be so upset. So that's definitely something. And then can you repeat the question again?
Yeah. Like habits or mindsets that you adopted in the last couple of years that you feel like really helped you. So you said
Mm.
staying on top of your notifications or
Yeah,
what
staying
else?
basically staying on top of my stuff is definitely one. I'm not just notifications. That's just the
Right.
biggest thing, the most recent thing for
Gotcha.
me. And then allowing myself grace because especially being in the like content community, there's not everyone's gonna like your stuff, and like
What?
oh it.
Really?
Yes, of
That's
course.
crazy.
No. Okay, I don't know if you're being
Yeah,
sarcastic.
very sarcastic. I trust me, I know.
I'm gullible, don't do
Yeah,
that.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. Um, there's that, and then, I lost my train of thought. There's something else.
Not everyone's gonna like you.
Yeah, not oh, yeah, give yourself grace.
Give yourself grace, yeah.
Um, you're when you do content or do that stuff, you do it for yourself, and if you do it for yourself, it's not going to feel as bad. Like, stop comparing yourself to other people. Like, I've done that, didn't feel good. And then when you started like embracing your own stuff, you realize you do have like that talent. You do have that aspect that people enjoy. So just like take that in. You know what I mean? And enjoy it. What else? I think those two are the biggest ones for me, at least for me
Yeah,
personally.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, those are really good. Um, who would you call successful, and how do you define success?
Who would I call successful?
Could be anyone in the entire world.
Hmm. I want to say like the first person I thought of was my husband.
Ah,
I
yes.
think he's very successful in
Nice.
his own way. Um,
Justin's really, really great.
yeah, but the thing is, he doesn't feel like it. He feels
Mm,
like no, like I'm no big deal, and like that's great. I don't know if he's just being humble
mm,
or he really doesn't see himself as so much more than than how I see him.
mm.
You know, I think he he went to school for like accounting, like all this uh, like um like jobs that not jobs, sorry, schooling where you can get like a decent job like accounting, right? But decided to be a photographer.
Mm,
And then he wasn't just any photographer, he was a successful photographer. And he did it for like what, 13, 14, 15 years?
mhm,
And he was very good at it.
mm,
Um so that's when he was able to buy his house when he was 26. And not because he needed the house, he needed it so he wanted the house because when he gets clients, he doesn't wanna show them, like, photos or talk to them in his parents', living room.
mm.
So that's why he bought his house. He bought his car to show, like, "I I I am who I am today. Like, I deserve respect because I'm going to give you respect." That's kind of what his stuff kind of represents.
Yeah,
So I find that, like, really admirable.
yeah.
And then, like, even now, like, he's moved on from photography. He does it occasionally, but now he's, like, a small business, accountant of some
Mm.
sorts. So he's yeah, he went back to accounting.
Full circle.
Full circle. And he's doing good, and
Yeah.
he doesn't even advertise for any of it. He's so good that people recommend him, and now he has this, like, uh, good set of clients, and I'm like, "Damn,
Mm,
how do you do that?" Like,
yeah.
how the way he thinks, the way he presents himself, how he communicates is just so admirable that I wanna say I wanna be like him, but,
Yeah, yeah.
I wanna be me too, but at the
Yeah,
same
yeah.
time, like, I like that.
Second best, you married him, so now you guys are partners.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice, that's awesome. Cool. If, money and time weren't an obstacle, or I guess, like yeah, money and time were an obstacle, what would you be doing?
Oh gosh, I do more content.
Yeah, more content?
I think one of the biggest things that's stopping me from making more content, and that's why I have times where I'm, like, AFK, because I need sleep, 1. Like, it's
What?
hard.
You need sleep?
Yeah,
That's
who needs
crazy.
sleep, right?
Yeah.
No, no, so for nursing, I work 12-hour shifts. 12-hour shifts, 3 to 4 days a week. So that takes a good chunk of my week already. And imagine like doing that and then content creating and like I have to like change my days to be able to go to these events because they're usually weekends. If not weekends, it's on a like weird time of the day.
Yeah.
And I work night shift.
Right.
So if as a night shift nurse, I lose my day and my night because I have to prepare the day before. And then the next day I have like this like dread of like, am I going to sleep before I do something, or am I just gonna
Go straight to
like
it.
yeah, like take 3 shots of espresso and then like power through and then go to sleep at like 10 p.m. So that's my struggle.
Yeah.
So I actually don't have a lot of time for my content creating,
Mm,
which sucks because I love it.
right.
It's art for me. Um, and then what else? Content creating, and then pickleball. I
More
play like
pickleball.
6 hours if I could.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, when I started it was 6 hours, and then I didn't touch my Instagram for a month.
So I've been busy, guys. I'm in the zone.
Pretty much, pretty much.
Yeah.
But yeah, but hey, like doing pickleball actually did something really great for me. Like me, one of my friends, Maggie, she owns this company called Core and Crew,
Mm.
which actually I'm wearing right
Oh,
now.
nice.
That representation.
Nice.
Um, I met her, and then out of the blue, I asked her to be my pickleball partner because unfortunately, one of my original partner got sick.
Oh.
So played with her, and then after like a 1 day of training, 20 it wasn't even 20 24 hours. It was 8 hours of training. The next day we won gold.
Wow, that's crazy.
So we did really well because of that. Like I feel like a lot of because again content creating, we've been reached out by like companies like to be able to be sponsored by paddles and all that stuff,
Mm,
and I think it's really really cool. So
that's cool.
it's opening avenues, and what I don't know if I'm just super lucky, but like everything that I've done so far has been beneficial or has gotten good feedback. So I think in that sense, I'm either doing really well or I'm really lucky.
Yeah. That's cool. I mean, I imagine in my perspective, I feel like sometimes you create your own luck because, like you said, you're doing what you enjoy and
Mhm.
you're doing it for those reasons, and then these opportunities come to you. But it's not like you weren't setting yourself up to be ready for those things, right?
Right.
Yeah,
That's true.
yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Last rapid fire question: do you have any favorite books, movies, TV shows, anime, articles that you share or recommend the most?
Goodness. Right now, what am I Oh, I've been reading Solo Leveling.
Oh, Solo
Like
Leveling.
I think it's on Netflix. Netflix? I think
It's
it's on
on
Netflix.
Netflix.
I think. It's
Oh, the
either
first
Netflix,
season,
the
right?
first
Gotcha.
season.
But you've been reading it as well.
I so yeah, because the first season ended and it's like it's just a
Right.
really terrible cliffhanger.
Right, right,
So I
right.
had to read it. So I don't want to spoil anything, but it's so good.
Yeah.
And then I also really like such a weird one. Um what is it? The time I was reincarnated as a slime.
Oh, I heard
That's
good things.
very, very good.
Yeah,
Have
yeah.
you ever seen it?
I know about it. It's on my list.
Uh-huh.
How many seasons is it?
I don't remember.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
think it's done actually.
It's like 3 seasons or something?
I think it's at 3 seasons,
Mhm.
but again, it's not done.
Right,
Like
right.
I stopped at a part where I can, binge a little bit,
Mm.
so I'm just waiting for it to kind of finish the season.
Yeah.
But again, I'm on a, like, a weird cliffhanger
Yeah.
where I'm like, "Ugh, it sucks." And then, of
Nice.
course, One Piece.
One Piece.
One Piece.
Yes.
That is my the cherry on top of my anime, like, stuff. And it's so funny because I hated it at the very
Oh,
beginning.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I thought the artwork was, like,
'Cause it's
awful.
old, right? It was like it started in 1997, something like that.
Yeah, but e back then too, it was
Exactly, yeah.
still, like, I grew up loving, um, artwork that was more, like, beautiful and, like,
Mhm.
"Oh, it's cute," like, the guys look hot and the
Yeah, yeah,
girls
yeah.
look so gorgeous,
Yeah.
and then you see this anime
One
where
Piece.
everyone's, like,
It's a
weird
goofy
looking.
yeah,
Yeah, so I was
yeah.
like, "Nah, I think it's gross."
Yeah.
And then, like, later on, Justin tells me, like, "You just have to try it,
Yeah,
just try it." And I was like, "Fine," and then, like, a month later, I was like, "Are you watching the next episode or
Yeah.
what?" And
That's
now I'm,
what
like,
it's like.
obsessed.
That's what it's like. Again, I'm diehard One Piece, but I feel like you fall into 2 camps. You
Mhm.
love One Piece or you have not watched One Piece.
Yes, yes.
So,
The
I'll
people
die
who
on that
can't,
ship.
like the people who are sc and maybe there's a third one, people are scared to watch it.
There you go, there's that
Yes.
too. Favorite character?
Zoro,
Yes,
100%.
thank you. Oh, okay, also mine. Cool. I think that's it for rapid fire, so let's do the ending question. So first one, Poe, what are you most grateful for?
I think I'm most grateful for, like, where I am in my life, the friends I've created, and definitely my husband, because I think these things that, created, like, the environment I'm in is me like, it makes me really happy. Yeah, I'm just truly grateful for them, and because of their, like, help with my career, with my cosplay, with my content, I feel like I can't get anything better than this, you know what I mean? And I
Mm,
don't think I want to, I don't think I care.
mm,
I think that's when you know you like it, you know what I
yeah,
mean? We're like, "I don't think I need more,"
yeah,
This is it.
definitely. I love that. Any final ask from the audience or final takeaways that you'd like them to have from this discussion? You can
Um,
self plug as well, like self promote or
oh,
anything,
sure.
or if it's just like a lesson you want them to have.
I think, well, one, thank you for having me. If there's a self plug I can put, I only have I have my TikTok and Instagram. It is Monster Poe. If you guys want to check it out, I'm trying to be more active on it, trying to put more like comedy stuff that I love. Um, and maybe the biggest takeaway is adopt, don't shop.
Oh yes, so
Love your
good.
dogs. I
Yeah,
love my
yeah.
kids. So
My mom's like
adopt.
that too. She's big on like she volunteers at shelters, and she also wants grandkids. So I feel like you and my mom are like we
Ah!
would be best
We're
friends.
gonna be we're gonna be the same people one
Yeah, pretty
day.
much. All right. So where can we find you if people want to reach out or connect? I'll have all the links to your socials, but anywhere they can find you.
Mostly my Instagram, but if there's something that you guys really need to reach out for me, I do filter it. But my email, if there's something that you want to reach out, maybe like for content or like a collaboration, which I'm open to. I am very selective of my content now, only because I really don't have a lot of time.
Right.
So I have to like I don't want to disappoint is my main thing. If like say if I promise and then like, hey, I haven't delivered because X, Y, and Z, it's very disappointing not only for you, but it's also disappointing for me because I don't want to create that personality of like, oh, Paula doesn't, she makes promises but never
Right.
follows
Not good
through.
to
Like
work with.
that's awful. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't want that. So if you want to reach out for anything specific like that, like my email is monsterpo2
S2. There you go.
s2 at gmail.com. For some reason someone took monsterpo at gmail.com. So I'm like,
Uh,
ugh, that's not me, okay?
yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. I'll put that in the show notes. Okay. Well, I think that's it. Thank you so much, Poe, for being
Mm,
here. I really appreciate it. And so if that's all, we'll log off. So thank you to you guys for tuning in. Again, hopefully you guys have learned something as much as I did. I think Poe's story is amazing and she had a lot of good insights to share. And also just a reminder to be kind to others, especially yourself, and that there's always something you can learn from someone if you just take the time to listen. So
mm.
thank you guys for tuning in.
Hey, thank you.
Yay.